Do we have any citizens want any citizen comments tonight?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
Thank you. Okay.
We do have Julia Fisher is joining now. She's the one from
Senior class. I want any citizen comments tonight?
no.
Not yet. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I think we've got a quorum. Gary's just joined.
There's Jeff. Okay. Everybody except Eric as far as the council goes, looks like. Okay. All right. Okay. With that, I'll declare this meeting open. This is the Morgan City Council meeting, March 23rd. When we start this meeting, we'd like to first off welcome all that are here. Welcome those who are listening on Zoom, and those that may be listening in other methods. Appreciate you being here with us and the attention to this meeting. First off, we'd like to have us start with a pledge of allegiance. Ty, are you ready to show us the flag?
I just need to be made a co-host.
Okay. When you get that up, Jeffrey, would you lead us in that?
You bet.
And then after that, we'll ask David if he would offer an opening ceremony after the pledge.
Okay, there you go, Ty. I think that will work for you.
There you go. If we get us a flag. Glad that you're doing this, Ty.
Yeah.
Very pretty blue sky.
Here, I'll just share it. How's
There we
that?
go.
We got it.
If everybody would please stand. Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
David?
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we gather before thee as we begin our Morgan City Council meeting. We're thankful for the opportunities we have to come together. We're thankful for the beautiful valley that we enjoy, that we inherit. We're thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy that allow us to live the way we do. We pray for wisdom tonight. We ask thy blessing that we might be inspired to make decisions that are proper for our community, proper for the residents that live therein. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I'd like to thank David for that opening ceremony, and also thank Jeffrey for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. As we do that, the next time we'd like to have the council look at and consider the electronic meeting minutes of March 9th, and also one set of warrants. And you can ask some questions, or when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion.
Denise, just on the meeting minutes, first page there, others present. We've listed Chase Christiansen, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Congressman Blake Moore. Were they with us?
Chase Christiansen was on the meeting, and he is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Congressman Blake Moore. Blake Moore was not on the meeting, but that's just who he works for.
Okay. Just listening in, I don't remember any participation.
Yes, he just listened in.
Okay,
He just logged into the meeting.
all right. Second, I just have one other question. That's on the warrants on page 5. The very first item, the United Laboratories there. Maybe Ty, if you take a look at that. Description over at the right says sludge, sharks, and lagoon. I know we deal with sludge in the lagoon, but I wasn't sure about sharks. What was that for?
So I don't want to be too graphic. No, but Chad, maybe you could, Chad, are you aware? I know that's a big deal, but I don't exactly know what it is either.
Yeah, so in your lagoons, you got to have a balance with, bugs inside there. For some need so much oxygen, some need so much food, and so if you get too much of one or the other, you have to go in and supply them either with the sludge sharks that kill off the little bugs and not so many, so that it goes kind of like a septic. And when it goes septic, that means that things settle in them ponds and they get very stinky. So like I said, there's so many things out these days that are new that you can contribute to these lagoons. And I'm not 100% sure on the new shark method, but I've heard of it in the others, and I'm close to it.
So just outside of that, I know Kel has been working and we do a quarterly report back to DEQ on his efforts. So we did have some non-compliance issues that he's been working on, and that was one of the things that he reported on. So I don't know if that answers your question adequately, or if you want to.
Yeah, is that, I guess just the other question would be how frequent or how often do we have to provide the treatment? And is that something we anticipate or plan on? Or is it a surprise?
Sorry, yeah, there's just multiple tests that Kel does to try to comply with the state's regulations and how much should be in the water. So when he does his testing and sampling every month, it tells him how to run the lagoons and to get the right number for all the nitrogen and everything that's being in your process to either kill off the bacteria or to make your bugs happy to eat. And there's just a cycle of that he's trying to comply with every month. So
All right, I'd learned something. Thank you.
Cal can tell you better. He's the expert at it. So
On
yes,
shark, huh? He's a shark expert.
yeah. He was
Right.
he was throwing out his baseball arm a week ago, throwing him out there. So
Right on. Thank you.
Any further questions or a motion?
Mayor, I've reviewed both the minutes and the warrants and would move to approve the city council meeting minutes of March 9th and the warrants of from 3/6 to 3/19, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, moved by David and second by Tony that we approve the city council electronic minutes of March 9th, 2021, and the 1/7 warrants from 3/6 to 3/19 of 2021. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. If all of you give me a thumbs up, all in favor, thumbs up. Any opposed? Okay, we have 4 votes in affirmative, so that motion passed. That's fine. Thank you for that. Next time, Denise indicated there's not any public comments from tonight. Okay, so we'll move past active agenda down to the verbal presentations. We have a presentation in your packet. There was a statement there from, or at least some information there from the senior class, Morgan High School Operation Graduation. I understand Julia Fisher's on with us tonight. It looks like Cindy Giles on with us tonight. Julia, would you like to be the spokesman, or Cindy, are you the spokesman to explain to us or make the request from the senior class?
I can.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Julia, you're on.
Okay, awesome. So we're thinking for, we're proposing on May 26th that we would do our senior service project. And we want to start our day at 9 and go till 12. And our class would like to contribute to 3 service projects around town. And we would be cleaning the high school's parking lot because it's really dirty. And we think that that would be really good for the community. And then we would be throwing away trash there and then painting curbs around the town wherever need be, and trimming and picking up sticks and anything else that around the Mickelson Mile that needs to be done. And then we'll compile a Google Sheets of spots that will be open for the projects that we can sign up for. And then we'll have mom supervising and making sure that we can get everything done that we can. So yeah, that's what we're thinking right now.
Okay. Any comments from the council at this point? Lance, would you like to talk to us about the painting project for just a minute, since you're on?
Yeah, I can come up with a list of some areas we want to do. But part of me kind of hates to paint more curb. We have a lot of curb areas that have been painted in the past, and I don't really see a purpose. And it's a lot of money and a really labor intensive job to keep it up. But I actually do think we have some areas that need to be done along the middle school and some stuff. It probably won't be a lot, but it will definitely be, probably a couple hours of work for a few people.
Let me make some suggestions and I'll let the council weigh in on their direction. Julie, we appreciate you two ladies joining us this evening. One thought I would have would be for your committee, whoever it may be, mothers and daughters, students, to do a couple things. For you to come and meet with Lance and go by and identify the exact locations of those curbs, and possibly meet with our parks person, who would be Roe, and go with him along Mickelson Mile. With your committee walk along Mickelson Mile, determine projects along there that could be accomplished. And I'd like maybe suggest you consider, as you do the high school parking lot, maybe the elementary parking lot and the middle school area parking lot. That allows you to break your groups into smaller groups, which I think you believe would be more efficient. As you make those contacts with Lance and go look at curbs, as you make the contact with Roe and go look at the mile, I would suggest that you consider what tools you might need, what other needs, what equipment, those kinds of things that you might need to accomplish those tasks. As you come up with that group of that list of equipment and tools in conjunction with Lance and Roe, then that would give you more information when you put out the request to your students as far as who meets where, and divide that up. Then you would make sure each student or each group has the equipment they need. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
I think that'd be a direction I would encourage you and your committee to do some pre-work on those areas first.
I think that's.
Council, anything else council like to weigh in on? Suggestions, thoughts, ideas?
Well, man, I think you make a good point to go with Roe on Mickelson Mile. I mean, if you went over there and really cleaned everything up, you could probably be over there for 5 years. So I would say, Roe could show you areas that, specifically that need to probably be spruced up a bit. So I totally agree with what you're saying. not just kind of a shotgun approach, but just hit the areas that really need it the worst, so, or the most.
David or Jeffrey or Jeff, any other input or thoughts?
I think that's great, great advice there from you, Mayor. I would second that, would concur with that.
Jeffrey, you've been involved before. Give us your
And
perception.
I think it's a great project. Thank you, senior class, for wanting to help out our community, and you've done great work in the past, and we're excited to be a part and team up with you this year to give students a chance to do some service and to help out here in the community. So thank you very much. And you work with the city folks, and I think it can be a great opportunity and experience for all of us.
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm aboard. Sounds good.
Okay. So it's on the agenda tonight. And again, thank you, ladies, for coming to present that to us. On the agenda, it talks about senior class project. Do we want to make a motion to accept it? Do you want to talk about a dollar figure? What type of direction would this council like to give to the senior class officers?
Mayor,
Yes,
what's our donation been in the past? 500? I don't remember.
that's what it has been. Yes, Tony. Did you ladies have a specific request in mind?
No, not at all. We're open to whatever you guys are willing to give us.
Okay.
I'm good with that, Mayor. What we've given in the past.
Do you want to make that motion then, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we donate what we have in the previous years, which is $500.
Okay, Jeff made a motion. We donate, we have in previous years, $500 towards the senior class project. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Second by Jeffrey. We have a motion and a second on the floor. And the fact is we give the senior class $500 towards their senior service project. And I would just discuss with the caveat that please and organize it the way you do, which is awesome. Meet with the city crew to help specifically give you ideas of what would be beneficial to do. Okay, with that said, any further discussion on the motion? You see no, proceed to vote. Against others, we'll just go by a thumb vote. All those in favor, give me a thumbs up. Give me opposed. Okay, so we have 4 ayes. That motion passed. So ladies, yes, we would like you to do that for us as a senior class. Thank you for both of you being here to represent senior class this evening. And then they say, get in touch with our city folks. If you want to just make one time contact to Mr. Bailey, he can line up the others to meet with you if you want to do it that way.
That would be great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you letting us come and figure this out. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Best of luck in your future as you work through this year, as you graduate and move on. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. The next item of business is discussion approval of Valley Vista Estates subdivision phase 1. That's been sent to us from the Planning Commission. So Tony and David, since you're the Planning Commission, would you, one of you or both of you like to respond to us and kind of give us an detail on what that proposal is this evening?
Well, this one's kind of unique in the fact that this was approved back in 2006. Of course, it's part of the was part of the special service district. This one's unique in the fact that this is not the developer that's requesting this this change. It's actually the city that's asked the developer if they would mind making this change. David, you can jump in here anytime you want, but as
I
you look
wonder,
at,
maybe Ty, could you put the plat up?
I can't read the lot numbers very well on my number 6 font.
As we go through it, there we go.
Can't read it any better there. But as
Stand on your head.
as I understand this, and here's where I need you to jump in if I misspeak. I think originally that road right there where that, well, it's not a cul-de-sac, but that road of it originally went straight through there and came out. Yep, right there. Ty's got somebody's got the pointer right there. And would have come out right there on that road right there. It's a, what's that road called?
Knuckle.
Yeah, that's a knuckle, that knuckle there, but that road would have come straight out onto that road right there by Clover Lane. So in order to keep traffic off of that, I think what originally was discussed is that road, I think there was some discussion about that road coming out up there by lot, I can't read it. Is it 22 or somewhere up there, Ty? Have you got a pointer there? Up there, up on that south end right there, that road would come, 20, wasn't it like 22 or somewhere in there that the road was going to come out in that area somewhere? And after some further discussion, it was decided that because of the topography right there, that wasn't a real good area for that road or that knuckle to be, or for that road to come out. And so they moved it further north to what you see on the map right now, and where that pointer is right now. So that was the recommendation of the city. The developer agreed and seemed amicable to do that. And so that was the discussion in planning meeting the other night. And they recommended that we go ahead and do that plat amendment and show that roadway coming out where it's drawn on the map there, on the plat there. So again, it was a request by the city. The developer was again amicable to make that change. And so Dave, what have I forgotten?
Yeah, that's a good description, Tony. A couple of other just comments or points. Of course, we created a cul-de-sac along the way, but my understanding is, and I don't have the other plat to compare it to, my understanding is we also eliminated one. So I think we're about equal there, recognizing that we don't always like the cul-de-sacs, particularly when it comes to snow removal. They have, in regards to the snow removal between lots 14 and 15, have designated an area that would be, and those are not part of the cul-de-sac. I think those are just outside of it, but there will be an area there that driveways will be offset so that they can position snow, for that purpose. When the day's done, it because of the like Tony mentioned, the topography, this actually is a better fit for the hill there. I think it's maybe less grade perhaps as you work your way up to it. It also, you can see it leaves the outlet for the next phase of the development. I think it's important to point out too, though, that because this was approved, I think it was in 06, some of the features of the subdivision were grandfathered. One that stands out, particularly in light of our recent discussion, is the 8,000 square foot lot. But being grandfathered, there's not a lot that can change there. So the developer and planning commission, as well as Lance and Ty and company, developer was present along with, I think his boy was there, but was very willing to accommodate, and they felt good about that. The other little change that they'll make is there's the word vista in the road. There's multiple vistas in the county, and that was a concern with fire and law enforcement, that we change that just so that it's not confusing, that we don't get it mixed up with other roads in the city or the county, I guess.
And the
developer agreed to do that.
Yeah, was very agreeable to that as well. So
yep. So with that, it was again prompted on the city's part. I think it was probably started with by Weston in looking at it and having the concern with the roads intersecting there. So all of that said it was a win-win for, and I think the developer felt good about the change also. I think it helped him out too in a couple of regards.
Okay, any further comments from the council? Okay, I think we have Mr. Wall with us this evening. Would you like to comment at all on the project?
No, I think everything's been said. Like you said, we're happy to make the change here at the city's request. I think it's a win-win for both of us.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Any further questions from the council? If not, I'm ready for a motion. Then maybe we could take that screen share down. Are the council ready for a motion or further discussion?
Mayor, I'd be willing to move to approve the Valley Vista Estate Subdivision Phase 1 amendment as presented and recommended by our planning commission as well as our staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by David, second by Tony, that we approve Valley Vista Estate Subdivision Phase 1 amendment as presented by staff. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay. See, now we'll proceed to vote. We'll go a roll call vote on this one. Tony,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Jeffrey,
Aye.
and Jeff.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed unanimously with 5 ayes over here. So appreciate the work of everybody in the corporation. As been said, our city staff met with the Wall family, some meetings, and the meetings were very positive. The meetings flowed, and cooperation both sides. We appreciate, Jacob, thank you for being here this evening. Appreciate your cooperation with this project. And as Jacob will, I think it was Jacob said, well, I think it's a win-win for both parties and both sides. And Gary was involved as well in those meetings. I appreciate the input from the parties involved. So thank you, Jacob. Any further discussion on that item? Okay, we'll move to the next item. The next item is ordinance 2103, amendment to Title I, Chapter 15, consolidated fee schedule. Okay. So with that, that was in your packet also. Ty, do you want to talk to those changes a minute? Or I guess open up. Ty gives a brief introduction.
Okay.
Council, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those.
Sure. So this is just a continual effort to bring our fee schedule back. We've updated them in the recent past, and it's just a continual effort. I think we need to just keep this on our forefront and make sure that they're relevant. Some of what's changed is we're doing an online option for building permits and subdivision requests. And as we've gone through that, the programmers really had to go through our fee schedule so that it's clear and the software will work appropriately. And then some of these are just other things that have come up. So this first one, let's see, I think I'm screen sharing. On our council room, you can see that we used to, or currently we charge $15 per hour, and it's a $200 deposit. We've upgraded that room significantly with technology. And so just internally, we've talked about if we even want to rent that room out. So we've just come up with a different rate. We kind of foresee that the only reason somebody would want to use that room is for the technology or for the option to have a in-person meeting and remote. So it's kind of the new norm, I think, moving forward, where you have a handful of people in there. We've been using it for our development review meetings, for example, where the applicant will come and sit around the table, but we've had our engineer and planner, fire marshal in that meeting remotely, and it's been working really well because we can screen share and stay on the same page. Works a little better than just having a laptop pointed at whatever direction. So anyway, I guess the first thing is as a council, do we even want to make that room accessible? And if we do, what you feel like the appropriate fee would be, and deposit. So pretty much anything in there that gets broke, clear down to the microphones are more than $500 each, but that's where this one's, that's the thought behind this one. And that's why we put meetings only, and we were thinking that it would be conference room style, people that need a conference room. So that's that one. Any?
Kai,
Yep.
if anybody other than, the city wanted to go in there, and, for example, and have a day-long meeting, pay the $250, would we allow them to use some of the equipment that's in that room? For example, maybe the visual equipment, projector and things like that. Would that be?
Yep.
Possible? We would allow them to use that?
Yeah, that's kind of the shift, is that's the point of having that room. It's not just the space. I think there's space just about anywhere, but I think if someone wanted to use that room, it would be for the purpose of attending or hosting online meetings.
But I don't think that the projector works any longer, does it, Ty?
No, but the smart TV and all the rest of the equipment, I think that's what Tony's referring to.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
You know what, when we built City Hall, I was pretty adamant that be available to the public. I mean, to the taxpayers to use if they wanted to. I felt pretty strongly about that. But I also realized that there's a lot of expensive equipment in there now, and it's been upgraded a great deal. And I really don't have a problem with what you're proposing here right now. I still think we probably ought to make it available for meetings only if someone wants to meet in there, but I'm okay with what you proposed.
Okay. And I think the mayor brought up too that we typically wouldn't charge nonprofit. So if it was the chamber or someone like that, but if it's another group, someone wants to hold a business meeting or something like that, we do need to have a fee schedule if we charge them anything. So that can go either direction.
Hi, discounting last year because it wasn't typical. What kind of demand have we seen for the use of the building or for the room?
Zero. Before COVID, it was used fairly regular, but not. Denise, do you remember what that group was that would come in at night and do like
Yeah,
sewing club or something? I
It
remember what
was
they did.
Mary Kay.
Okay.
So she would hold her parties in there at least once a month or every couple months.
What kind of parties?
Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Oh, I was thinking of Mary Kay, our neighbor.
You've been to a couple, Dave. You've been to a couple of the Mary Kay parties, haven't you?
Yeah, they tend not to invite me.
Yeah.
I feel, I feel discrimination there, but story for another day.
Yeah.
Couple of thoughts on that room. If we could do this, do we want to add another document that they would sign as a liability contract? There are pieces, some places where they have equipment like that. Part of that rental is for a person to be there to help run and operate the equipment. And I don't know if we need to have that as part of it too. A city personnel to be there to run that, or if we just turn them loose to run the equipment themselves. That's another piece to it that I think to consider on this room.
Mayor,
Yes.
I was just waiting for the council's decision on this, and then I was going to update and bring back the rental agreement.
Okay, because
So
we need
probably
a
April 13th.
good deal. Okay, we need something there a little different than what we've had. And I don't know your thoughts on staff personnel to be there to help, or whether you just need to set up and walk away, or what the thoughts there are. Again, that's something staff can weigh in on. I'm not sure I have a take on that.
So
Go ahead.
here's a couple of thoughts. You know, I can appreciate needing to pay as you go for sure for the equipment. At the same time, and so just on the surface, renting the room, the rates seem high to me. But nonetheless, again, if we're covering the cost of that, that needs to be there. The taxpayers, you know, helped pay for the building for sure. I'm wondering if it, and I don't want to get too complicated either, but should the room itself be available at a discount? Again, because we've all paid for it, it's something that we can all use or benefit from. With a separate, and is there the chance that somebody would use the room? You know, I don't picture. I would picture a Mary Kay group using it just for the space, not for the equipment. Could there be a fee for the equipment use? And I kind of like your idea of having somebody there just so that it's, and that would be a legitimate reason for an enhanced fee in my mind. But then we know that it's not being abused and so forth. But I guess I'd throw out, and maybe that's getting too complicated, but just an idea that we could either rent the room or we could rent the room and the equipment.
David, I'd like to invite you to come over to the city offices and then take a look at that room to see what's there. I think once you look at it, it gives a different perception of what's there.
In that there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well,
Please come over and have one of the staff show you the room.
So I understand the concept. It's just, we can't separate the equipment from the room. I think that's what the mayor is.
Yeah, I see.
Is getting
Yeah,
at. So even if you're not using if you're not using the technology, it's surrounds you, it's everywhere. So, and that it just changed the nature of the whole room. So it's no longer just an open space. And I think that's what our thought process was.
The equipment could be hard or damaged, I guess, just by people being there is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear just some thoughts on, you know, you mentioned there earlier, Ty, maybe not making it available. That might be an option considering what you've got there. Let's use it for the purpose it was intended for. And if all of a sudden there ended up being a lot of demand for it, maybe be it that we reconsider it down the road then.
Yeah, so you mentioned, you know, and that's more for a council decision. That's why we brought it is the taxpayers have paid for it, but they paid for it for the operational use, the council's use, and we make that available so the public can participate remotely. And so that's kind of the public use aspect of it. I don't know, maybe Tony said he preferred that it was open to the public, but I wasn't here when it was originally built, and I'm not sure of the public need for an open room like that. So that's just something to consider. You know, we have all of our offices that were paid for with taxpayer money, but we don't open them up to the public. It's for our operational use. So it could go either way.
Hey, this is Eric. Sorry to come in late on this deal, but I just, it's interesting as we're talking about this. I don't know how many meetings I've been over to in the city, or not the city, excuse me, the county council chambers. I've been to fair board meetings. I've been to fairgrounds board meetings. I've been to all kinds of meetings over in the council chambers. They use that extensively. Now, to the mayor's point, I haven't been in our new council room since we've updated it, but it has been pretty nice to have a place where we can go and have a meeting and have that facility available to us. So I'm just throwing that out there into this piece too. I mean, I've been to a lot of meetings over in the council chambers, the county council chambers.
I respect all the perception been presented tonight, and they're great. Let me suggest that we maybe put this piece on hold, maybe at the end of this discussion, table this till the next meeting, and have each of the council members come over to the city offices and look at what we have there. To me, it's hard to make a choice and decision if you, without visually knowing what's there. I appreciate Eric's comments too. A lot of meetings held there. Those meetings are held with someone in charge running the meeting, which I think could still be done here. Different than a birthday party, a family reunion, those kind of meetings. So an actual business meeting, I think, works like Eric's talking about. But so I'd like to at least, I guess, encourage everyone that hasn't been over here. I think Jeffrey was here once. Encourage all of you to come over to city offices before our next meeting, and then with a perception of what's there, that would help us design a better fee schedule for that room.
I like that.
Is that acceptable or doable to the council?
Yeah, that'd be great. You know, I think with the planning meeting, both Ty and Teresa were in the room, and the audio and video were just exceptional. I mean, I've seen the results of it, and they're, you know, you could do the 10 o'clock news there if you wanted.
And
What,
oh, go ahead, Tony.
one other point, I guess, as well, is that is not a particularly large room.
Right.
There's just not a lot of space in that room. And from personal experience, years ago, I actually tried to have a family Christmas party or two in there. After about the second year, I sort of gave up on it because it is just not a big enough room for that type of an activity, I don't think. I kind of would like to see it maybe open for meetings only to satisfy the fact that it was built with taxpayer dollars, and the public should have some access to it. So I feel that's important as well. So I would hate to say that we're not going to allow that. It's just going to be for city council and city business, but that's just my spin on it.
And as we move on, because Eric did join late, I think we mentioned before that for public nonprofit groups, it's still no charge, chamber meetings and that sort of thing. So when you meet over at the county building for Fair Board, you're doing work for the county. So I think the intent is that those are still available. For example, we have a little committee planning a car show, and I still let them use that room to plan the city's car show without charging them. So, okay, the next fee is, we used to just have the same meter cost. So this is just the actual cost of the meter. It's just been updated by our power department. Then you can see the net meters, commercial and industrial, will just be the actual cost of the meter, because that's different. These are just the typical residential meter. It does have the residential net metering on there, not the commercial, sorry. That should say commercial and commercial net metering. So that's just been updated. So this one on building permits, we used to refer to this table 1A of the 1997 Uniform Building Code, which is out of date. There's a newer version. So we're just changing the language to say based on the current Uniform Building Code. So as that gets updated, we don't need to readjust our fee schedule. And then we're adding water sample testing and retesting. So for every new build, our water department goes and takes a sample before they give occupancy as part of that process. And we didn't have a fee schedule for that. It's a lengthy deal where they have to run the sample down to down below and take the sample. So the cost of the test plus time, it takes about a 4-hour deal each time. So just adding that fee as part of the building permit. And then we just have inspection fees. So this inspection fee is on subdivisions. So as subdivisions are built out, we pay Jones and Associates to do all the inspections on the sidewalk and all the improvements. But this is actually they still rely on our water and our sewer and our power to do their own inspections on those connections that are made. And so that's just $75 per inspection for sewer, and then $75 for water, which is here. The water one, we changed from the tapping fee. So we no longer want to do the tapping. We want to leave that up to the developer. And then we've eliminated those fees where we used to supply a lot of the parts and then do the work ourselves. We ran into trouble with this on that new subdivision this year where our guys were trying to keep up with the whole subdivision the same time we were doing that 125, not 125, 100 North water project. And so coordinating when the developer is ready, waiting for us to come and make the tap, and then we didn't really have the equipment. Our tap machine broke, and we had to get a new one. It's just a lot easier for the developer to have that full control, just build it to city standards, and then we just pay, and then we just charge a $75 inspection fee to make sure it was done appropriately. And then, of course, we come back and install the meter. We still do the meter.
Hey, Ty, this is Eric. I got a question on that. So let's say down here on my farm, it's currently tied onto the house, but let's say I decided that I wanted to put it onto its own service. Well, I'm not a developer. That situation's not a developer. So what do we do in a situation like that?
So you just hire somebody to come and install your lateral, your service, and then we just inspect it.
We've got a list of contractors or service providers that provide that service to us, because I would imagine that they've kind of got to be vetted to do that kind of work.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Chad, are you still
Yeah.
on? Do you want to make a comment to how because I know we've used a couple of it's a handful of people, but what's entailed in making that connection?
Right. So what would be in our best interest is have the contractor that is going to do your service line. He would have to be licensed in putting in, in these services as far as connections and compression fittings and having all the right, materials to comply with Morgan City standards. I do believe that most contractors out there, they do their own tapping, and I felt like the tapping was, if we go and tap into our 10-inch line and then we put the saddle and corp, and a year from now there's a leak. Well, who's to say who's going to dig that up? Is it a service or is it a tapping issue? And so, to kind of just balance that all out, we would just go with the contractor doing all the above and being responsible for all that. And we can get a list of contractors in the area that can help those to do a tap. And, there's professional tap companies out there. We were actually using a guy from Lehigh, and, as far as that goes, they could kind of shop around and see who could do the tapping for them.
So as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're one of the few cities that require people to use us to do the tapping. Typically, it's done by just a contractor. So I think it's more common, Eric, than
Yeah.
than we might think. I think before we wanted to do that service ourselves, but there's timing issues, and then making it all come together, it's actually a lot easier for the contractor to just finish it out on their time frame.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like, how do I put this? We're swinging the other way at the power department. We're going to install our own power and our own transformers and our own, all of that stuff. I mean, 2 years ago, you'd have to sub that out. And now we're swinging the other way with the water department. It just seems like somewhere we ought to find some kind of middle ground or something.
Yeah, and it's whatever makes the most sense. So in other areas, most of the subdividers, most of the developers are used to Rocky Mountain Power doing all of the electrical. And we used to say, you got to find somebody. That left everybody in a bind because they're not used to doing that. They're like, well, we've never been given that option. And then it is the opposite on water sewer when they do the development, that contractors do that sort of work. And so I think what we're doing is actually aligning ourselves with the way that the rest of the development community is used to operating. So one, on the power, it's, a specialty that we actually have, and that's what our guys do, pull on the wire. We don't do the conduit and that sort of thing, but we pull the wire and make all of the connections, and we have access to the transformers and some of those things that generally the contractor isn't used to doing and doesn't have the suppliers on hand, which is the opposite on water sewer. It's really common that they do this work and have suppliers on hand to get them the parts. So. And I think
How long have we done our own tapping?
Well, so I've only been here for
Forever.
4 years now, but it's been quite a while. The other nice thing on our side, as the demand comes and goes, we get overwhelmed in a real big hurry when we only have a department of 1 or 2 people on sewer and water. And on our power, we can commit to doing that because we have a contract with Hunt Electric to back us up either on the subdivision install or the other maintenance that we have going on. So we have the ability to expand and contract on the power side a lot easier than we do on water sewer. So anyway, that's the proposed changes for now. And like the mayor said, we could just introduce it and or, if you're comfortable with any of those proposals, we can adopt the ones we're comfortable with, or whatever you want to do. So I'll turn the time back over to the mayor.
Okay, as we look at that, first off, do you have any questions on the thing? That's one to start with, any question you may have. As you're thinking through that, you decide what action we want to take tonight. We can either approve it as is. We can approve it with any adjustments we want to make tonight, or you could table it, and then next meeting, come back and look at any changes, any recommendations you want to make. Or if you have some suggestions for the staff to look at, they could review certain areas and bring that information back to us, or pass it as is. Tony, sorry, I cut you off.
No, I cut you off. I apologize. Just a couple of questions down on the connection permit for lawn sprinkling system. Do we actually have people come in and get that connection permit when they make that change? And second part of that question is, if they want to go from a secondary system and now hook on to culinary for their outside watering, is $100? I mean, I would think that we sort of want to make that a deterrent. We're, you know, we would like them to stay on secondary and not use our treated high-priced water to water their lawns. So I guess the second part of my question is $100 is that enough to make that change, or should we make that hurt just a little bit more? I'm just spitballing here, but that was a thought that I had.
Sure. So we can go back and evaluate that. That's just not one we've had on the table. And that brings up the perfect point of why I want to just keep bringing this back and keep working through it, because some of these things aren't that common. You know, if you go back up to the top, we still charge people for copies, and we're trying to get totally digital and you know, do a lot electronic copies. But if you would like us to look into that one, I think we could do some homework on that and propose something. I'm not exactly sure how often that one gets charged. And
Yeah.
then we do have different areas of the city, so
Yeah, I just was thinking that probably, you know, we would probably like to keep as many people on secondary for outside watering, to move them from a secondary to to start using culinary. I just was wondering if maybe gotta increase that a little bit. That's why I ask if it gets, we have a whole lot of people come in for a connection permit, but anyway, just a thought.
yeah. Look at that
I
one.
appreciate that, Tony. Thank you. And I guess encourage the council to look through the rest of this. There's other thoughts you have. Let's make this a living document. So thank you, Tony. Part of why that one's important to also, Tony. Appreciate that, because what that does, that opens up for potential contamination of our city water system. And that's why that's a critical one.
Absolutely.
And so possibly some people do it without us knowing. We'd like people to let us know when they're making that change, if they are, for the potential of contamination. If we happen to get our system contaminated, that's a heavy load and a heavy, you know, situation to bear. So yeah, I'd like to look at that. And as you see right underneath that, where Tony's looking, the fee, if someone does make a bad cross connection, we do get contaminated, it comes back to council for us to assess fees on that. That could be fairly extensive. So again, thank you, Tony, for looking at that. And I'd like to have the staff look at that and bring back some ideas on that one for sure, Tony. Thank you.
Hey, Mayor,
Yes.
one part to that deal is that new line that we just ran over in North Morgan.
Uh-huh.
None of them are on secondary water. So they do all their watering off of culinary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, appreciate that information, right? Were they, I suspect, Jeff, when all those were hooked onto the main line, that was done appropriately and they were all inspected as far as those connections, I would guess.
Yeah,
Okay, so that part we're okay with, but yeah, we need to be aware of that. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep. Again, to your point, Mayor, my main concern is somebody that's on secondary. I mean, they're using the secondary system. Now they're saying, I'm done with secondary, I'm gonna go to culinary. I don't think that's something that we would encourage. And you bring up a very good point about the cross contamination and the black backflow. So I would have some concern there for sure.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
Tony, it seemed like another way to maybe manage that too. And I know Ty's talked about a study. We could wait for that, but it seemed like when secondary came along, primary was rates were raised in part for that purpose, to encourage the secondary use.
Right. Well, you know, obviously you hate to use high priced treated culinary water for outside watering. You know, there's absolutely, to Jeff's point, there's portions of the city that don't have it available to them, you know, so that's obviously that doesn't pertain to them, but anyway. That was just.
It's similar to like our our building permits for basements, it's minimal. It's $100. And the thought is we would rather have people come tell us what they're doing than to be like, well, that's too expensive. I'm just gonna do it. So this one's the connection, and the water rate should take care of the consumption. Like it should be a disincentive enough, you know, our water rate, if it takes care of itself, which we're evaluating right now, versus just the actual connection. So if it's a lot, you know, cost prohibitive just on the connection, you get more people maybe hiding it. So there's both sides to look at. So we just need to look at how often and how we feel about that. And I haven't had that discussion with the staff, so that's a good place to start.
So all for further discussion or motion, what does this council feel?
Mayor, I personally, not to kick this can down the road, but I wouldn't mind, and I have not went over and looked at the council chambers since the improvements have been made. But I think I would like to go over there and take a look at that before passing the fee schedule. I kind of hesitate to pass it with that one still hanging out there, the rental of the room. But so at least my thought would be that I would not mind it if we tabled it for a couple of weeks. Just give us a chance to go look at the room itself. I would like to go look at the room anyway before I make a decision.
Not to intervene on the council's decision, but we have that scoping meeting tomorrow night from 6 to 8. If you would like to come at 5:30 or 5:45, I can give you a little tour and then you can stay for that meeting. Just to, I mean, there's space in there where we can spread out, and that might be easier than one at a time. I mean, just if a handful of you are planning on participating, I just make that invitation to you so we can experience it in a meeting setting. So
Thank you. Tony, give us his thoughts. Any other thoughts or a motion? Or maybe Tony wants to make that into a motion.
Sounded like a motion to me.
Because if it was a motion, I'd second it.
Okay. Tony, is that a motion?
How about I make a motion that we table ordinance 2103, the amendment to Title 1, Chapter 1.15, the consolidated fee schedule, until, well, do I want to make it date certain? Until our next city council meeting. Our next scheduled city council meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by Tony, second by Eric, that we table ordinance 2103, amendment to Title 1, Chapter 1.15, consolidated fee schedule. Table that to our next scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I think the intention of doing that, everybody understands, would be to have the council come look at the room, participate in the room. And also I'd encourage you to look at the rest of the fee schedule, see if there's any other things that you have learned about. If there are, I'd encourage you to get that information to Ty or Denise before the next meeting, so they can do the research and bring the answers to the next meeting for us. Does that make sense? Look at the schedule next few days. If you have some thoughts or questions on it, please get those into Ty or Denise so we can then have the staff review those before our next meeting. Okay. With that motion, I'll call any further discussion. Okay, we'll go for roll call vote. Eric.
Aye.
Jeffrey.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Tony.
Aye.
And David.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed unanimously. That ordinance 2102 will be tabled at our next scheduling meeting. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate the council, your insight, your thoughts, and the procedure way you go about things. So thank you for the process that's happening. Okay, with the council permission, I'd like to change item 5 and item number 6 and move the closed session after item 6. The council okay with that change in agenda?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so with that, then we'll start item number 6, which is city reports and business. We'll start with Ty give us the city manager reports, and then we'll open up the council for questions, reports you may have after Ty's reports. So Ty, if you take city manager reports.
Oops, sorry. Am I unmuted now? Sorry.
We can hear you now.
You're good, you're
Okay.
good.
I was full screen there for a second, so I lost all my fancy buttons. So let me go back to the agenda to remind me of what I'm reporting on.
Windstorm debris.
So after the windstorm, we still have a debris pile over at the transfer station, and we have a couple of options, but the plan I'd like to at least let the council be aware of is it was only roughly chipped just to reduce the size and get it out of the way. And FEMA let us know that they're okay with us chipping it down smaller. We will get help with that. FEMA will help pay for that process. We have some bids out there, and then my thought was we could go ahead and just chip it small and then leave it open for the public to come and get free wood chips for landscaping or whatever they wanted to use it for. I think it would go pretty quickly. And you know, anytime you say the word free, of course, U-Haul, they just bring their own shovels, and the dump operators or the transfer station operators would just leave it. They just use their front end loader to keep it in a pile, basically, as that process happened. And so that's kind of the plan.
Hey, can I just ask a question, Ty? I mean, I've been down to the Davis County landfill to pick up some wood chips for some stuff that I've done. And I had to pay like a minimal amount of money. I mean, it was pretty cheap for a truckload. They just kind of scooped it up and dumped it in my truck, and it was pretty dang cheap. But have you thought about just charging, I mean, $10 truckload?
Yeah, but we had such a community effort on bringing all of that to us. You know, everybody that helped out with the windstorm, it'd be nice to let them do that. And then also part of what you're paying for on that minimal charge is them loading yours, which I would prefer we don't do, just for liability reasons and not having a full-time operator down there. And where the pile's offset, you know, people can come and still, they unload by themselves. I figure they could just come and load by themselves, but I'm open to whatever the council suggests. So we do get credit for all of those volunteer hours on our cost reimbursement from, or our cost share from FEMA. So just watching that pile disappear, I think would be worth it to us, and not having to pay to move it.
Ty, would there be any way we could well, what's the word I'm looking for here? Any way we could patrol it to make sure that it's for our citizens and not for a commercial venture? I mean, I would have no problem doing what you're suggesting, but I would hate to see somebody that has some type of a commercial landscaping business go in there and take 3/4 of it. So I was just wondering if there's any way we could sort of patrol that.
Yeah, of course, the hours would just be during the normal transfer station hours, so they could patrol that just like they do when people come for commercial dumping, right? I think it'd be fairly obvious if it was a business. But the other thing is, this isn't going to be colored. It's not going to be, you know, like the landscape company quality stuff. It'll just be basic wood chips. And so I would assume that if I was buying a certain wood chip from a company, it's going to be black or red or playground quality or that sort of thing, not just basic wood chips. So,
That would be my only concern.
okay.
I got another, God, I hate to keep beating this, but how would you feel if I like showed up with my tractor over there with the bucket on it, just started loading up loads, hauling it away? I mean, you know, I could see somebody doing that.
We'd have to flog you, Eric.
Well, I wouldn't, I'm not saying I'd do it. I'm just saying it could happen.
Yeah, you're right. It could.
I don't necessarily feel bad about that.
I'm just thinking.
I'm just saying our goal is to get rid of it, right? And until FEMA said, we really didn't want to move on it because FEMA's really particular about where things come from and where they end up, right? And at this point, they said that, yeah, if we chip it down and place it as landscaping, they have no environmental concerns about that. So it kind of opens the door. It's a big thank you to the community, but if it's a first come, first serve and you get the first half of that pile, that means we only have to babysit that pile for half a day.
Then I'm good to go.
So
I'm
that's just
not my tractor, but
When can I meet you down there, Eric?
oh, anytime, Tony. I'll just drive over and we'll start loading it up. Okay.
So if for every load that Eric brings, he has to take a root ball with him.
What do you do with those, Ty?
That's a good question.
FEMA hasn't told you yet, huh?
Yeah, those are, they will pay us to move to pull them. We have a lot of root balls still to pull up, but those are a different story. So
Drop them in the river and send them down to Layton.
I don't know if we're going to have good enough water flow this year.
Eric does bring up a good point. So here's my public service announcement. Being on that board of Wasatch Integrated, the landfill down there, that is pretty cheap compost and mulch down there.
That's awesome.
And they'll load it up for you. Just have to make sure you tarp it. And then remember, a lot of mulch and now those chips down there, quite a bit of that, or some of that certainly is coming from right here in Morgan, because that's where it's all to and chip. So I just mention that if you have friends or neighbors that, you know, it's a good deal. It's cheap and it's a really good deal. So
yep.
That's my public service announcement.
I think there might be an expectation that the front end loader should be used to help load pickup trucks. Say, how big of a liability do you expect that to be?
Well, just my thought is because we don't unload people's vehicles, it's a self-service transfer station that it's the same on picking it up. And I think the, you know, if the operator down there feels like he's got a 1 yard bucket and wants to do that, I don't think I'm gonna worry one way or another. I just don't think we offer it as a standard service. So
the other piece of that, the operator down there is part of Robinson Waste.
yeah.
And this compost is part of city and county needs to dispose of. So it's kind of two different entities.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a whole different entity, a whole different company that runs the transfer station. That operator down there is employed by Robinson Waste,
And that's
Morgan City or Morgan County.
And that's their backhoe as well.
Yeah, they own that equipment.
yeah. So I think it'll kind of self-manage it or take care of itself without too much of us. It's just just keeping the grounds clean is really what they're going to be doing with the front end loader. So, if we're ready to move on.
Yep.
Any other landscaping? So after we started that caboose project and we got the caboose, the council wanted to put the grass back. We had that little miscommunication on what we were doing, and just want to let you know we got a bid approved for that. So the landscaping will be coming back this spring.
Tony's back in favor with his neighbors.
Thank you very much.
Hey, that's why we make a mess of things, just so you can be a hero later.
Yeah. Tony's the hero.
Well, I've heard plenty about it, Dave, over the last several months. So,
Yeah.
So next thing is the hotel. So we had an open house last Wednesday. The chamber sponsored that for the hotel. It was very well attended. I saw a couple of the council members down there, and a couple of them actually won prizes. So you guys did real well, but there was over 250 people that came through there. And I think a lot of people had positive comments about the room options and just how well the hotel was done. So that was really nice, I think, to get our local people in there so they can make recommendations or have family stay or whatnot. And then the official ribbon cutting ceremony is the 29th. Did I get that date right, Mayor?
Yes, yes.
Monday the 29th at 10 a.m.
Yes, that is correct.
So the corporate level folks are going to come in. The mayor is going to represent the city. Many council members are, of course, welcome to attend as well. I unfortunately won't be there, but the mayor's got that well in hand. So I went to the fun party. I'll let the mayor handle the official.
The business part.
Yeah, I almost said boring, but it won't be boring. It'll be really nice, official. So
Ray can't wait for his picture to be in the newspaper.
that's
yeah,
right.
he really loves that.
I like it. The one Wednesday was the chamber really run. The chamber steps up, does a lot of awesome things in our community, and the chamber kind of promoted run that. And my hats off the chamber, what they do for us, what they did there. Ty mentioned the variety of rooms. I did not know what was in there either, but to see the variety of rooms they have, to me, was quite impressive. As far as the hotel itself goes, they're increasing their stay fairly regularly. Last week I talked to them, they were somewhere between 15 to 18 rooms a week, which is where we want to end up being, but they've increased that. When they first started out, they were 8 to 10. So they feel positive about the change and growth that's being made there. So I think those are a couple of positive things that I gained from that experience as well.
So it's 18 a night, not a week.
Mayor, you said a week. Did you
Yeah,
mean
I'm sorry, a night. Excuse me, a night per night. That's the average
Yeah.
per night over there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I apologize for that. Per night is
Yep.
where they're at currently on rates. Some of you may or may not know, a couple of weeks ago, they were fully sold out for the weekend. They had a full sellout. What happened, there's a group that came in, a hockey group, and they held a tournament up at Lost Creek on the reservoir, a hockey tournament. And so they've totally sold the motel out for that weekend. So there's some positive things happening there. And the chamber's helping with that.
Yep. So moving on, just an employee update, and we haven't done introductions. We'll probably do introductions maybe at the next meeting, but we've hired 3 new employees. And so we've had a shift in direction in our parks and cemeteries is we added 2 additional full-time employees. That'll be year round, and we won't have the seasonal crew that we used to have. This will allow them to do more in the shoulder seasons, more in get the parks ready and keep them open longer. And then what the parks department's doing is they're going to do the grounds maintenance for the other departments. So they're going to go out and do the weeds for the sewers, at the water, the well protection areas, the
Springs.
all of the grounds. And so they're going to, instead of each department hiring seasonal people themselves and trying to maintain their own grounds, we're able to get a couple of 2 full-time people, and they will in turn take care of all of the grounds for the other departments. And so we're excited to see how that works out, and then give us a little bit of extra help. And then the other activity in the winter is one of them will we'll go update our GIS layers with our infrastructure and go shoot in a lot of our infrastructure that's missing on water, power, and sewer. So that'll keep them busy. And then we also, so we got 2 parks and rec employees, and then we also got a new power department groundsman. So three groundsmen. Another thing on the employee update, just so you're aware, since Mark Schmid is out on disability, we got together as a group and decided not to, at this point, have another public works director. So we do have a building official by contract, and each department is taking on more responsibility and working together more as a team. So we're just fostering more of a team approach. I think I might have mentioned that before, where they've taken on extra duty. So one employee is over safety for the whole group, another one's over facilities for the whole group, another one's over the equipment, like Lance, he's on tonight, is gonna keep track of all of our equipment. So we're gonna function more as an entire department, and I'll just be filling that role as the public works director, in the sense of priorities, budget, personnel, most of it just the daily decision making to keep us all connected. So it's kind of a personnel update there. FEMA update, we're going through the FEMA reimbursement process. Denise is doing an awesome job getting them the information that we have in the format that they want it. That's always a huge exercise. Takes a lot of time, and then our guys are also contributing. So it's just a document nightmare is what it basically comes down to. So we have a GPS for every root ball. We have to measure every root ball and say where it went and where the dirt came from that we put back where the dirt ball was, and document everything that we've had during that disaster. So, and then we do have the community working on submitting their volunteer hours so we can get credit for the amazing work that our citizens have done. So that's that FEMA update. Then Young Street Bridge, we met, Lance, what was that, like 2 weeks ago? A week ago? Time's blurry. A week ago. And
last week.
And so we finally selected an engineering firm to design the bridge. It was Horrocks Engineering. Their proposal is included in our packet. Just a highlight, one of the things that helped them score better. We received 4 proposals, but this one had the most of the people in-house. So they had their environmental and all the different groups all in-house and within their own control, which was a really good selling point, so that you don't have a bunch of subcontractors to try and keep coordinated on where they're at and answer questions. And Horrocks has a lot of bridge experience. They have a really good resume. So we're pretty excited about working with them and being to that stage in the project where it's now it's scheduled to take until April of 2021 before engineering's done. The last 3 months, I want to say, of that process, you can see their timeline in their packet, is a lot of that's FEMA approvals for environmental approvals that take once they get everything designed and submitted to go through that process. So some of it's a waiting period, but it'll take pretty much a year to get the bridge designed.
Hi, aren't they doing the 89 project?
I'm not sure.
Looked like, as I read through their resume, that maybe they're heading that up. It appeared to me. Do you know,
Yeah.
Gary?
Yes, they do. They are working on that. They have been doing a lot of the waterworks and the utility works. I'm working with them right now on reservoir issue, and so that there's quite a few actually that participate, but Horrocks is taking the lead on a lot of it.
Yeah, it looked like a good group.
Yeah. I know I remember seeing the work that they'd done in the past, but what they're currently working on, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are working on 89, like Gary just mentioned.
So Ty, will this bridge be ready to, the construction on this bridge, will that be ready by spring of 2022?
Yeah, I think I accidentally said April of 21, but it's 22. I lose track of my years, just like the mayor loses track of his weeks and days.
Right.
So we're a good pair.
So when people ask me, I can say you can anticipate construction beginning in May of 2022. Safe.
It'll go out to bid. I think the bidding process would just be started. So
Summer of 2022.
I don't know, because now I feel bad because I've been saying since July that we're ready to get a contractor on board, and it's taken from July till now. And
it's just a question I get asked a lot.
Yeah, tell them right after the landscaping at the caboose, then you can anticipate the bridge.
Yeah, when's the bridge going to get built? So
I get that question a lot too, Tony. A lot.
So can we time it with any of your election cycles?
Let's do it. I'm on board with that one.
It'll be a good project to have done.
Then just a final administrative update is I'm sure everybody saw that Governor Cox declared a state of emergency for the drought and has done an executive order. So we have some things to talk about on water conservation. We just thought in the city, some of the things that might happen as restrictions on our splash pad and watering of our parks and stuff like that. I used to work at the state during these declarations, and at the state capitol, their grass was always green. The sprinklers were always going, and they went and put out these little signs on stakes that said water audit in progress. So just a little tip I might have learned from the state themselves on the, when there's water restrictions that we might need to study our water flows at the park or something along those lines. I'm just teasing. We'll have a serious discussion about what it means.
Can you get some of those notices made up ahead of time? Some of the stakes?
Yeah, I might have to just go borrow them off the lawn.
Gary, was there any discussion at the legislative session that's just ended concerning metering secondary water?
Yes.
Is that going to become a requirement for everybody eventually?
Yeah, there was a bill that we just barely, I know what it was. Stuart Adams had a bill that was carried by one of the senators, and it was interesting because it actually required that you meter, or you put new meters on, and that you do it by a certain date. We have that 20-year period of time that we're supposed to be putting meters on, but then it prohibited you from raising your secondary water rates by more than 10% in a given year. And if you do the calculation on what it costs most companies to just increase the number of meters that they're putting on, there's no way that they could do both. In other words, keep their fees from going up more than 10% in a given year, and at the same time retroactively go back and put new meters on. And the only way you could exceed 10% is if there was a compelling countervailing public purpose. In other words, if there was some your pumps were all going to shut down, or your dam broke or something like that. And so I went and brought it to his attention because I showed him the figures for Case Creek, for example. And Case Creek, it would have taken I think it was 43 years to put in what could have been put in 10 years if you put the 10% cap on it. So anyway, we showed him some numbers and he was surprised. It's typical of what they do up there. A lot of times they make the rules and then afterwards figure out what the rules really did to everybody. And that's kind of what ended up in happening. So they took that piece out regarding the 10% cap only in those stressful situations and said, if you want to raise it more than 10%, you just simply have to notify the folks that you're raising it on. So that works. So sorry, that's a long answer to a short question, but that was a big water bill this last time around.
You know, Gary, I can add just a little bit of color to that also. Tage Flint was talking even just today. I listened in on the that Walker Institute presentation, the drying of the Great Salt Lake. But the Weber Basin there, I guess down in your area, has installed 11,000 meters. He didn't go into the economics as to what they cost and so forth. He didn't make it sound like it was a concern, but installing the meter and not increasing any rates reduced consumption by 20%.
Mm-hmm.
They were encouraged enough with that I think you'll see it widespread, even without perhaps legislation.
Yeah, we actually do. We do all of Weber Basin's secondary water in Layton, and ours is as high as 26% as a result of metering.
Yeah. So, and the meters now are electronic. They're not mechanical, so they don't bog up. But because of that, being electronic, they can send information to users' phones, for example, and I suppose different apps. Just the fact that the user can monitor that reduces the consumption. And again, this is in relation to no increase at all in a rate.
Now, the difficulty are the small companies. Weber Basin can handle that, and they can distribute the costs over thousands of
rooftops.
We have 4,000 here that we can distribute that over, and but you get a small company like even Morgan Secondary and calculate the amount. It's $1,500 approximately per meter.
Yeah,
to
that's
put it on.
pricey.
And sometimes as high as 2,000 if you've got rear lot line, or excuse me, rear pipelines. So it can be very, very expensive, but about $1,500 is what it amounts to.
That's pricey.
Yeah. But we got to do it. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's part of conservation, is accountability. So.
Any other questions from the council or updates the council would like to give as far as any reports or updates? Tony?
Yes. No.
Yes,
I'm-
no?
I'm done.
David?
Good, doing good. Good discussion tonight. Thank you.
Jeffrey?
Thank you, Mayor.
Eric?
I'm good. Thank you for everything and apologize for being late tonight.
Okay, Jeff?
No, just I want to tell Ty it's a good selection on Horrocks. They'll do us a good job.
Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate that information. That means a lot coming from you, Jeff. You worked with a lot of folks, so thank you for that comment, Jeff.
Yeah, I've worked with Corey Pope quite a few years over the years. So they'll do us a good job.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. It was an interesting selection process because it's all based on qualifications and nothing based on budgets or anything else that I'm used to.
Right.
Right. So we did it as a group and relied on other comments, but that does give us a better level of reassurance. So I appreciate that.
Okay. If that's all, anything, Gary, do you have any legislative information you want to pass on tonight?
No, we've got the upcoming league meetings, and I don't know if any of you plan on attending those, but those are always really good for updates. I'd be glad to give you an update next meeting if you'd like one, just on things that have occurred afterwards. The governor's still in the midst of signing bills, so.
And the league also, I know, sent out a deal yesterday, they're gonna have an update every Wednesday. They've got a Zoom meeting scheduled to give updates every Wednesday, starting tomorrow, I think. And then one each Wednesday for the next 2 or 3 Wednesdays. You wanna have the time available to log into the league's Zoom updates too. Okay.
So Mayor, do you have tomorrow's APA? It's the planning, Wilf Summercorn's planning update on what has happened in planning and zoning.
I think that's one the league put out. They're gonna have you tomorrow.
That will be a good one. That will be one that will tell you how badly we got hit in the area of planning and zoning, ADUs, 98, HB 98, and the bill on storm drain. There's a couple of others, but they'll go through all of those bills, those land use bills tomorrow. That would be a good one to catch.
I forgot what time that one was. Let's see.
Noon, isn't it? Noon to 1:30. Let me just look here.
Wednesday, yeah, it's 12 to 1:30. Yes, that's correct. And yes, that's the one it is tomorrow. It's tomorrow, 12 to 1:30.
Yeah, that will be a good one. So.
And then the next week is on infrastructure and economic development.
Mhm.
The following week. Okay, thank you. All right, there's no other information. I'm explaining the next steps. Let Denise explain it possibly. I will adjourn this. We need to make a motion to go into a closed session. We have a closed session. The motion needs to talk about discussion of character, professional conduct, and physical or mental health of an individual. That's the reason for. We need to make that motion. And then with the Zoom format, Denise, I'll let you discuss what we need to do from there.
Okay, since it's a closed session and I have to record it, we're gonna have to go out of this meeting and I'll set up a Zoom meeting to begin hopefully at 8 o'clock. We can do it that quick. We'll come back in and do the closed session. So I have a clean recording of that meeting, and then we'll just finish up after that and adjourn the council meeting after we come back out of the closed session. Does that work, Gary?
So I need to have a motion to go into a closed session with the reasons stated on your agenda there. Maybe care to make that motion for us.
Is
Mayor,
just for
Mayor.
clarification, is Denise going to send us a new link, or we just use the same link to get back to the meeting again?
Nope, you'll get a new link.
So check our emails real quick.
Yep, real quick.
Okay.
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 Mayor,
Go ahead, Tony.
I make a motion that we go into closed session for the discussion of character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mayor.
Can't tell who that was.
Eric.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, motion by Tony, second by Eric. We go into the closed session for the purpose of discussion of character, professional competency, or physical or mental health of an individual. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, so you don't proceed to vote. All those in favor, give me a thumbs up. Like five thumbs up. Anybody opposed? None. The motion passed. We'll now close this session with an executive session. So check your emails. Denise will send you another link for the closed session.
Okay, there you go.